Now, Edgar Cayce was a very strong Christian, and he struggled with his psychic abilities because he was struggling where that fit in a Christian world. Was it bad? And he struggled, and every time he would, say prayers before going in, that he'd be mantled by Christ, all these things before going into that space. But he tried to live as true to that as possible. He attended church every Sunday. He was a Sunday school teacher, all those things, and he made a commitment to read the Bible from cover to cover yearly. And he did that until the time of his death in 1945. When asked how to become a psychic, Cayce's advice rings to someone of a higher consciousness than most. He said, just become more spiritual. It's not something that we are getting phenomenally reaching toward. That's a gift. We just need to better and refine our beings in God to make ourselves more ready. And Flower had great respect for it. She was really, when Flower did any of her, what you might say, channelship on the other side for what the great ones we call, which are just other like saints and master souls on the other side that have something to do. And with the starting of Questhaven, the ministry, there were certain masters of that level that were archetyping this place. And so she was tuning into them regularly, trying to download, in a sense, orders or guidance that will come. And she would always say, even though Edgar Cayce was unconscious, that isn't the way we want to aim for. We want to be, in fact, she says the hierarchy really trains individuals to be conscious because she says otherwise karma gets deflected. She says you've got to bring that through consciously, so if you mess up a word or you preach wrong or teach it, you are karmically responsible. And if you do that unconscious, it's like deferring to some other entity. Like, well, it's not me, it just came through me, that kind of concept. But she had great respect for Edgar Cayce bringing through astral forces, but she would also say, even with hers, we in each time and each age have to discern and pull out the gems that resonate from today. And it may not be 100% of everything, but the tipping point comes when the majority starts bringing things through that are really bringing miracles and changes to our consciousness and living. I also found that between Flower and Edgar Cayce, at least, we're so fortunate over here on the West Coast because Flower not only was a channel, but she really came in, was trained to be a teacher. So she already came in with certain ideas within Christianity to understand, for example, reincarnation. And she came in to teach or connect the dots that the masters were bringing through. I found a lot that what Edgar was bringing through was a lot of dots, a lot of information, a lot of things. And so Julie was helping me. She said, like, reincarnation wasn't something that they understood. But when they're doing a reading and they say the challenges you're experiencing in life are due to a life you had in Egypt 2 lifetimes ago, well, then they started believing in reincarnation. And so it was being formed by what they were receiving and understanding. It was like verifying reality for them. And from that, they have a plethora of understandings. We're going to dive in deeper today. I always find it interesting because Flower was such a warrior for the angel kingdom and truth and for the living Christ, of course. But for a lot of people, is it my spirit guide? What is it? Is that an angel? Is that a Flower would try to go right to the source because she would say we got to be careful because there's a lot of spirits, in a sense, on that astral level of consciousness that are just looking for one of us to bring them through. But Flower would say they're not always any more advanced than you are. So that's the kind of bringing in consciousness that we have. So, for example, in the Edgar Cayce things, he talked about them as being light beings, maybe angels, and these kind of experiences. But they also could be aliens, some people in the group still feel. And so they leave that ambiguity a little bit. Now, Flower would, and I know in my heart, and I'm sure you do too, I'm sure they were from the angelic line, and or they could have been from other souls that had crossed over, more certainly. And having that clarity, Flower gives us such rich resources.